What's up, guys? Thought I'd do a walk in the woods and do my 4-week recap for my X-Bar workout program. So I've started categorizing the exercises by the level of the resistance at the beginning of the exercise. First category is next to nothing. These are exercises where the bands can actually go slack and have no resistance at all at the beginning of the movement. They are the chest press, and we have the tricep press, the one I detest the most, which is of course the front squat, and then we also have the deadlift and the bent over row. And there's another classification of exercises which I list as moderate, meaning there already is resistance at the beginning of the movement. These two exercises would be the bicep curl, and the second exercise is the overhead press. And there's one exercise that I deem as being mosquitoes, as being high resistance at the beginning, and that is the calf raise, as it starts out pretty much, you know, with the band about as tight as it's going to get with how you can hold it, and you only have a 3 or 4 inch range of motion there. So now, as I've said in an earlier video, I'm going to feel free to modify any exercises as I do them. You can see I've modified the chest press by stretching the bands out wider where they hook onto the bar. So I still have little or no resistance at the beginning. There's less of the non-resistance compared to how it was previously. And I completely did away with the tricep press because I felt it wasn't working that well, and it had a tendency to turn into some type of a close grip bench press, and it's supposed to be a tricep press. So you see I've gone to hanging the bands over my power cage here and using that. And the front squat, still never really liked it. In fact, you can see one of the reasons I don't like it here. In this video from a while ago, you can look at the forward lean, and you can even, when watching Ryan do this, he even comments on it while doing the actual workout.
I can't go all the way low because there's no resistance right here.
Yeah.
Lower than most.
So here's the modification I came up with, which is where I'm doing it with a regular barbell, and then I use the bands to add about 60 more pounds of resistance at the top, and at the bottom of the exercises the bands go slack, and so it's just down to whatever weight I have added on the barbell. I got 8, so I'm stopping it. Here's one of the problems with the front squat. The board is 20 inches wide, so when I stand on it, I can only go down so deep because my stomach and chest hit my legs. So I'm limited to about this deep, and my back is seriously rounding. And from the side, it again kind of looks like this. My torso is running into my legs, and to sink down lower, I end up almost falling over, and I've got an incredible round in my back. And when I'm not limited by the width of my feet to the board, my feet tend to be about 2 feet apart, maybe a little bit more. And I can squat down like this, sink my hips beneath my knees, no problem. And from the side, again, no problem. But I still have a round in my back because there's no weight on my shoulders. So when I come out of the hole using the DIY, I end up rounding my back. That's why I switched to doing an actual bar, because the bar forces me to be much more upright. And of course, I actually like the shoulder press. There's resistance throughout the whole range. And yeah, it's pretty good. Now with the deadlift, you'll see I made a modification where I changed the deadlift to be more of a trap bar deadlift. In my previous videos you can see I kind of like that one better. This mixes up well, or matches up well, with my anthropomorphology and how I like to pull the weight. So I bought these handles here on Amazon for, I think $24. I'll put a screenshot there just to validate what I paid for them. And the issue I run up with is just standing on the platform. I'm doing about a deadlift from, I think it's about 14 inches. So a real high pull deadlift. So by standing on this platform, I cut it down to about a 12 inch. And I'm going to do further modifications, hopefully bring it down to more along the lines of a deadlift from either 9 or 10 inches. Because I believe a standard actual barbell deadlift, you're pulling, I think it's 8.75 inches off the floor. And by adding a platform to stand on, I'm increasing the resistance at the top of the motion without having to add on more and more bands. I do like the bicep curl. You see I've done a bit of a variation here. That's kind of heavy in my hand. Whereby I go and, after hitting failure with drag curls, I then go and change it up. Do like a 5-second pause, and just do standard curls until I hit failure again, and keep repping out with a shorter and shorter range of motion. And finally, I just bent over, pulled it up, and did a slow negative to really hammer the biceps. I would recommend that you, even if you're not doing an X-bar type workout, from time to time videotape yourself so you can check on your form. And I have personally found that when repping out, there's times where I lose track of how many reps I do, and I wrote down that I did 15, and I watch it on the tape, and it turns out I only did 14 or 16 reps. Plus, with an exercise like, as you see here, the bent over barbell row, that's my father with a chainsaw in the background. The bent over barbell row, when I see my elbows break the plane of my back, then I know I completed a rep. So I can merely just go back, rewatch the tape, and see if I'm go back, rewatch the tape, and see how many reps I actually did. So, who would I recommend this to? An actual X3 bar. Well, one, if you're a business person, man or woman, who travels a lot and can't always have access to gyms but wants to work out, the actual X-bar will fit on your carry-on case or in your stowaway luggage, no problem. The second type of person I'd recommend the X-bar to is someone who has seen basically no results from the gym, for not just weeks but months or years. Basically, if you took a picture of what the person looked like 2 years ago and looked at them today, you wouldn't notice a difference. I would say the stimulus that you're getting from the gym, the stress, isn't doing it for you anymore. Okay, the third person I'd recommend this to is someone who wants to work out at home but doesn't have a lot of space. If you have an area 6 feet by 6 feet, you can do an X3 bar, or my preferred method, the DIY X3 bar workout. The fourth person I'd recommend this to is someone who wants to work out at home but doesn't have a lot of cash to spend. For less than $100, you can make yourself a DIY X-bar and plate. And the fifth person I'd recommend this to is someone who wants to work out at home, can afford to spend a lot of money on a gym but doesn't want to, in which case you could spend your $500 on an X3 bar, or follow my example and do a DIY for under $100 and still get a pretty good workout. So after 4 weeks of doing this, working out Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm looking forward to weeks 5 through 12, seeing how that affects me, seeing if working out 6 days a week instead of 4 days a week will result in any visible change in, size of my muscles or my body's appearance. So there you have it. Walking through the woods, avoiding the bugs, and getting rained on just a little bit. And remember, even because it's on a selfie and it is backwards, Skol Vikings. Well, at least one good thing is, since I'm walking through the woods where I know I am, the odds of myself getting lost are pretty slim. Of course, all these trees are starting to look very similar. And I'm beginning to wonder just where I am.